Sensory testing is tiring for many patients and can produce unreliable results. Conduct the examination as effectively as possible. Focus on the area that have numbness or pain, motor or reflex abnormalities suggesting a lesions of the spinal cord, and tropic changes such as absent or excessive sweating. Before each of the following tests, show the patient that what you plan to do and explain how you would like to the patient respond. Patient eyes should be closed during the actual examination. Use a sharp safety pin, the strict portion of the broken cotton swab, or other suitable tool. Occasionally, substitute the blunt end of the point. Ask the patient, is this sharp or dull? Or when making comparison, does this feel the same as this? Avoid heavy picks that draw the blood. To prevent transmitting blood-borne infections, discard the pin or other device safety. Do not reuse it in on other person. Testing skin temperature is often optimized if pain sensation is normal. If there are sensory defects, use two test tubes filled with hot or cold water or running fork heated or cold by running water. Touch the skin and ask the patient to identify hot or cold. With fine wisp of cotton, touch the skin lightly, avoiding the pressure. Ask the patient to respond whenever a touch is felt. And to compare one area with another, avoid testing calloused skin, which is normally relatively insensitive. Use a relatively low pitched tuning fork of 128 Hz. Tap it on the heel of your hand and place it firmly over the distal interphalangeal joint of the patient's finger. Then over the interphalangeal joint of the big toe. Ask the patient if you are not sure whether the patient is feeling pressure or vibration. Ask the patient to tell you when the vibration stops. Then touch the tuning fork to stop it from the vibrating and confirm this change with the patient. If vibration is impaired, produced to more proximal bony prominence. Grasp the patient's big toe, holding it by its side between two thumbs and index finger. Then pull it away from the other toes. This prevents extraneous tactile stimuli from affecting testing. Demonstrate up and down as you move the patient's toe clearly, upward and downward. Then, with the patient's eye closed, ask the patient to say up or down when moving the large toe in a small arc. Repeat the test several times on each side. If patient sense is impaired, move proximally to test the angle joint. Sternogognos refers to ability to identify an object by feeling it. Place the familiar objects such as coin, paperclip, key, pencil or cotton ball in the patient's hand and ask the patient to tell you what is it. Normally a patient will manipulate it skillfully and identify it correctly within 5 seconds. Ask the patient to distinguish heads from tails on a coin is a sensitivity test of sternogognos. Number identification. If arthritis or other condition prevent the patients from manipulating an object well enough to identify it. Test the ability to identify numbers with a blunt end of the pen or pencil. Draw the large number in a patient's palm. And normally, patient can identify most such numbers. Using the two ends of an open paper clips or two pins. Touch your finger pads in two places simultaneously. Alternate the double stimulus irregularly with one point touch. Be careful not to cause pain. Find the minimal distance at which the patient can discriminate one from 2 points. This test can be used on other parts of the body, but normal distance vary widely from one body region to other. Briefly touch a point on the patient's skin, then ask the patient to open both eyes and point to place touched. Normally, a person can be so accurately. Stimulate one side or simultaneously stimulate corresponding areas on both sides of the body. Ask where the patients feel your touch. Normally, both stimuli are felt. Reflex response depends on the force of stress on tendon. Use only enough force to provoke defined response. Difference between the sides are usually easier to detect than symmetric changes on both sides. Reinforcement. If the patient's reflex are symmetrically diminished or absent, use reinforcement, a technique involving isometric contraction of the other muscles for up to 10 seconds, then may increase reflex activity. To reinforce the arm reflex, to example, ask the patient to clench his or her teeth or to squeeze both knees together. If legs reflex are decimated or absent, ask the patient to lock fingers and pull one hand against the other. Tell the patient to pull just before you strike the patellar or Achilles tendon. The patient's elbow should be partially flexed and the forearm pronated with palm down. Place your thumb or fingers firmly on the biceps tendon. Aim the stick with the reflex hammer directly through your digit toward the biceps tendon. Observe the flexion at the elbow and watch for the contraction of the bicep muscle. The patient may be sitting or supine. Flex the patient's arm at the elbow with palm toward the body and pull it slightly across the chest. Stick the triceps tendon with direct below, directly behind and just above the elbow. Watch for contraction of the tricep muscle and extension at the elbow. The patient's hand should rest on the abdomen or lap. With the forearm partially pronated, stick the radius with the point or flat edge of the reflex hammer about 1 to 2 inches above the wrist. Watch for flexion and supination for the forearm. Patient may be either sitting or lying down as long as the knees is flexed. Briskly tap the patellar tendon just below the patella. Note the contraction of the quadricep with extend the knee. Placing your hand on the patient's anterior thigh lets you feel this reflex. If the patient is sitting, partially dorsiflex the foot at the angle. Persuade the patient to relax. Stick the Achilles tendon and watch the feel for plantar flexion at the angle. Also note the speed of relaxation after muscular contraction. If the reflex seem hyperactive, test the angle clones. Support the knee in the partially flexed position with your other hand. Dorsiflex and plantar flex the foot a few times while encouraging the patients to relax. Then sharply dorsiflex the foot and maintain it in the dorsiflexion. Look and feel the rhythmic. Look and feel for rhythmic auscultation between the dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Normally the angle does not react to this stimulus. There may be few clonic beats if the patient is tense or has exercised. Test the abdominal reflex by lightly but briskly stroking each side of the abdomen above and below the umbilicus in the direction. Use a key, the wooden end of the cotton tip applicator or the tongue blade, twist and split longitudinally. Note the contraction of the abdominal muscle and movement of the umbilicus towards stimulus. With a key or wooden end of an applicator stick, stroke the lateral aspect of the sole from the heel to the ball of the foot, curving medially across the ball. Use the lightest stimulus need to provoke a response, but increase firmly if necessary. Closely observe movement of big toe, normally plantar flexion. Some patients withdraw from this stimulus by flexing the hip and knee. Using broken applicator stick or pinprick, lightly scratch the anus and both sides. Watch for reflex contraction of the external anal splinters. Detection of the reflex contraction is facilitated by placing gloved fingers in the anus during testing.